Hello everybody, welcome to Wine World TV, the best wine show in here. I'm your host, Mark Fusco. Before we get started, make sure you're smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel. Every like and subscription helps build the channel. Even better, spread the word to your friends about the best wine show anywhere. All right, so super weird, like last episode, Christmas episode, my teleprompter's going tick, 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 and now it's all nice and smooth. I don't know what happened. But anyway, it's time once again for my New Year's Eve special. This year, it's all about the Southern Hemisphere. Why? Why not? I'm excited to do these wines for different reasons. The first one we're going to do is a bit of a continuation of last year, the Tapiz Sparkling Malbec Rosé. I did their Sparkling Tarantes last year, and it was spectacular. All right, next, then we stay in South America, on the continent, for the second wine from Brazil. Wait, Brazil? Yep. Then we go halfway across the globe to Australia for some sparkling Shiraz. Okay, the first wine, Tapiz. Not much to talk about. They were founded in 2003 by Patricia Ortiz and her husband. I never find out his name in any of the stuff there. But anyway, and it was founded in the Uco Valley region of Argentina. You can hit the links below for more. As far as the wine, it's a non-vintage sparkler made exclusively with Malbec. It uses traditional methods, so there's a second fermentation that happens in each bottle to get the carbonation. Did I already say I'm a fan of sparkling rosé? No, I haven't yet. Well, I am. I'll probably remind you about that a few more times. At least I hope so. Did someone say more sparkling rosé? I did. And that's what the next wine is as well. This comes from Brazil. Not much wine from there gets to me. I feel like most of the wines I've had from Brazil have been sparkling wines. So maybe a coincidence, or maybe that's what is mostly exported. I don't know. Anyway, the winery here has been around for a while. They are considered one of the top wineries in the region, if not in Brazil. They were founded in 1979 by Mario Geisse. Mario is from Chile originally and got his start there as a winemaker. In 1976, he was hired by Chandon. Yes, Moet and Chandon, to start the Brazilian project in a wine region known as Serra Gaúcha. All right, so 3 years later, he decided to go out on his own in the Pinto Bandeira part of Serra Gaúcha to make his own wine. His first sparkling wines begin in 1981. So he's been doing this in Brazil for a very long time. And this winery only does traditional method sparkling. They have two lines. This one, Cave Amadeu, and then they have one called Cave Geisse. I'm assuming it's Geisse, it's G-E-I-S-S-E. It could be Geisse, it could be Geisse, Geisse. I don't know, I'm pronouncing it Geisse. But wait, he didn't forget his native Chile. He also makes wine there with two lines, Viña Geisse and Victoria Geisse. The first one is all still wine from the Marchigue and Peredones in the Colchagua Valley. From what I can tell, this is his first winery. I found wines from that, they were at least from the 1980s listed on the website. The second one is his traditional method Chilean wine. Not sure how long that's been going around since they're all non-vintage. As far as Brazilian wine goes, most of the wine regions are in the Serra Gaúcha. It's not an official region, and you may find that some areas are included and others are not, depending on whose version you're looking at. But within this area are probably the most important wine appellations. There's a very large one along the border of Brazil and Paraguay and Uruguay called Campagna Gaúcha. And then in the north, very near the equator, is the Valley de São Francisco, whose claim to fame is they get 2 harvests a year. I think it's like 2.2 harvests a year. It's the only appellation in the world that does, as far as I know. But then I found out there's some wine made in Ecuador, and they're literally on the equator, hence the name Ecuador. So they might get more than 1 harvest every year. Anyway, so there's your lone Brazilian theory question. No, seriously. Well, maybe. All right, between these are 3 other appellations. The side benefit of doing this wine means that I had to make maps in Google Earth Pro for the entire country. Well, didn't have to do it for the entire country, but If I was to do it for one, I might as well do the whole country because there aren't a lot of appellations. Anyway, in the process of doing that, I pointed out at least one discrepancy to a couple different entities that are involved in the industry, the Brazilian wine industry, and also a missing file. Plus, I corrected an entry in GuildSom, though they deleted my comment about it. Not cool, man. I mean, the comment wasn't out of line by any means. I normally get thanked for pointing out an error. Not sure what was going on there, but it was very minor. Basically, they listed municipalities for one of the appellations, and two of them got translated to the English equivalent. I let them know that, and also that I contacted the Brazilian government about a discrepancy I found. Moving on to our third wine, Mollydooker. Now, if you've paid attention to Australian wine, then the name Mollydooker should be familiar. Probably their best known wine is Blue Eyed Boy, named after the founders Sarah and Sparky's son, Luke, who does have blue eyes and is a Mollydooker like me, left-handed. We even greeted each other with a left-handed handshake. Word. Anyway, let's get some backstory. Thankfully, they have a proper website with some history. In 1991, Sarah and Sparky, that's his name, I'm sure it's a nickname, were recently married and were making wine for Sarah's parents at Fox Creek. Over the years, they gained more experience and were getting recognition for their wines. They also experienced failures more than once. Well, you should. Failure might be harsh. One was due to more of a market crash, seeing wines plunge to 25 cents a bottle. I'm not sure if that was wholesale or retail, but let's just say they had more than a couple hardships along the way. However, a bit of good fortune happened when a businessman basically bailed them out, and this gave them just enough to continue on and make wine. Eventually, they were back to being successful and started the Mollydooker brand in 2006. And in 2006, that's when things really took off. They got recognized by, Robert Parker for wines from their first vintage. 3 wines were rated first, second, and fourth best value red wines in the world. That was the Boxer Shiraz, 2 Lafite Shiraz Cabernet, and the Maître de Cabernet. Maître de Cabernet. And their Violinist Verdejo was the best value white in the world. Not bad, mate. Anyway, this solidified their success. More awards and high scores followed. The actual winery wasn't built till 2007 in McLaren Vale. They spent many years replanting vines and improving the winery. 10 years later, in 2017, Sarah and Sparky basically went their separate ways, and Sarah is now the sole owner of Mollydooker. Now, they're also known for a few different things. First, and really the only one I truly knew before researching this, is the Mollydooker Shake. Now, they use nitrogen to minimize the use of SO2 as a preservative. Not sure if it's all the wines or just their still reds. Because of that, when you first open a bottle, it may be a bit muted. So you do what is known as the Mollydooker Shake. All right, so first off, all their still wines are screw cap, okay? I actually haven't checked to see if this one is a sparkling screw cap or is it a cork. We'll find out when I open it. They also have another sparkling that uses a crown cap, so like a pet nat. Anyway, you open the bottle of red wine and pour out a small amount of wine into the glass. They say you don't need to shake the whites and the rosés. Then you put the screw cap back on and shake it about 5 seconds. Now, I used to do a little bit of a longer for show, and I also used to just pour after that, but apparently I was doing it wrong. They should just open the bottle and then resealing it and then shake it a couple more times. So repeat that opening and closing and shaking. No matter how many times you're doing this, the goal of the shake is to aerate the wine. From what I can tell, you'll want to do it at least 2, maybe 3 times. After that, just pour a proper glass. I found it was a cool sales tool on the restaurant floor. Your guests see you do it once, and then you'll like get at least a couple curious looks and maybe a couple people asking what you did. And sometimes that became another sale. All right, they also have something called the Marquise Fruit Weight. Now, basically starting in the vineyard, they are assessing the balance between flavor and acidity. This extends to the winemaking process as well. The wines with the top score of at least 95% go into their flagship Velvet Glove, which is also a screw cap, if I remember correctly. Then as you go down the scale, those wines go into lower tier wines. Their quote their line of fun wines needs to be somewhere between 55 and 65%. If the wine or the grapes, whatever, are rated below 55%, they just don't use them. I'm assuming they sell them for bulk or whatever. Then they have their Marquise watering program. This began in the earlier years at Sarah's parents' winery. It is basically a watering maintenance program to maximize quality in the vineyard, and then using minimal water. Okay, this concept isn't unique to them, but they seem to have a specific system that they use that may not be fully used elsewhere, and they like to really promote it a lot. I can say that proper water access for vines is critical depending on the time of year. Not enough or too much can wreck the vines. So having some kind of system to monitor and control it is very important. They're also involved in a few charities under the Sip It Forward program. So now this wine, Miss Molly, well, she's described as the boxer's girlfriend, and that's basically the wine that is used. It's a re-fermentation of the boxer Shiraz. Now, what I'm not sure about is how the fermentation happens. Do they take a portion of the boxer that was aged in barrel and put it into a tank to do second fermentation, or bottle, or bottle it and do it in the bottle? I don't know. So I think, well, with that said, let's get the stats for the wines. I'll tell you what I think a little bit. First up, we have the non-vintage Tapiz Malbec Sparkling Rosé Extra Brut. I paid $16.95 for it. It's normally $23.95. From Argentina, Mendoza, 100% Malbec. It's an estate vineyard. The altitude is 4,430 feet. The average vine age is 12 years. Farming practice is sustainable. They do manual harvesting. They do traditional method with the sparkling. The winemakers are Fabien Valenzuela and Jean-Claude Berruet. Sorry, Jean-Claude, I butchered your name there. Aging 8 to 10 months on the lees. It's extra brut. The residual sugar they listed as 10.8 grams per liter. Now this is from a generic text sheet. Extra brut should be no more than 6 grams per liter. So who knows if this wine is different than what that text sheet said. The total acidity is 6.8 grams per liter. pH is 3.2. ABV is 13.0%. And production is 4,400 cases. Next, we have the non-vintage Família Geisse Cave Amadeu Rosé Brut. I paid $27.95 for it. It's from Brazil, from the Pinto Bandeira IP. 100% Pinot Noir, manual harvest. Yield is 8,500 kilograms per hectare. It's Metodo Tradicional. Aging is 12 months on the lees. Residual sugar, 10 grams per liter. The ABV, 12.5%. Lastly, we have the 2022 Mollydooker Miss Molly Sparkling Shiraz. I paid $29.99 for it. It's from Australia, South Australia, 100% Shiraz. The vineyards are in McLaren Vale and Langhorne Creek. It is fermented and matured in 100% American oak, 40% new, 60% 1 year. The residual sugar is 10.0 grams per liter. The pH is 3.58 and the ABV is 14.5. All right, since the Mollydooker bottle doesn't say anything like traditional method, nor any indication as to aging on the lees, my guess is they emptied the barrels into a tank and do a second fermentation there. All right, let's get into the wines. That's what I'm talking about. All right, no foil on this one. You go right to the cage. Muesli. Now these have been sitting out from the fridge for a while, so they're ready to pop. Like I said, they're ready to pop. So yes, the Tarantes. Oh my God, it was so good. I need to buy some more of that. I was so stoked with that. And then this one here, I'm super intrigued by it. I know it seems a little weird that I'm doing 2 rosés and then a red sparkling instead of, a white rosé or 2 whites and a rosé or whatever. But I want to do Southern Hemisphere, and I really want to do this Tapiz rosé. And then this is the only thing from Brazil that I saw. And then, of course, I want to do the Miss Molly because I've been wanting to do it for a long, long time. And I've never had it, so. So far, both of these have like nice bubbles and nice pressure. And the moment of truth on this one, like I said, I don't know if this is because there are sparkling wine screw caps. So I'm about to find out. I didn't feel a cage on it. No. Oh yeah, this is one of those. So you have like it's a I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little thing here that you pull, and then it. I don't know if I need to keep my finger on here, but you go around and around. And since I don't really do these very often, again, I don't know if I need to keep my finger on this or not. All right, nothing's happened yet. Let's just spin it. It's a party now. Yeah, it's a. Can I put it right back on? I don't know. About to find out. Here, this is annoying me. I'm just going to take the foil off. This is just moving too much. That's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay. No, I don't think you can get it. Doesn't easily go back on. All right, screw it. Let's just pour it. Look at that. It's so red. I rarely do anything red sparkling. And usually if it's red sparkling, it's usually sweet. All right, so look at that color. That color is kind of like that that Berlucci Rosé. I still have some. This is red wine from the Schiava, but let's compare the colors here. There's some good bubbles left in there. Okay, it's not as yeah, it's kind of hard for you to, what if I do this? You might be able to see it. They're pretty close in color. All right, I'll throw that over to the side here. All right. Malbec. Ooh, nice. Lots of red fruit to it. Raspberry, strawberry, some watermelon. There's also like this waffles. Like syrup, like maple syrup and waffles. And like a compote, like maybe not pineapple, but like a apricot. Like you have like an apricot topping on there. And caramel. Good Lord. This is a brunch wine already. Yeah. And there's like this nuttiness to it. Like walnuts, pecans. I mean, it can't be that oxidized. I don't remember there being a disgorgement date on here. And who knows how long the shops had it. But 9/5/25. So it was just recently disgorged. There is a date on there. So yeah, but there's like a nuttiness to it. Let's just get on the palate, see what's going on. No nuttiness now. It's really fresh. Fresh. That raspberry, that strawberry, that watermelon, pomegranate. So we're very fresh in nature. But the bubbles is great. Bubbles are great. The mousse is nice and thick, very silky, very smooth, very traditional method. Red apple, apple blossom. Not so much of the waffles and the syrup and the apricot per se. But I could totally see having breakfast with this, something like pancakes or waffles, pastries, croissants, that type of stuff, and fruit. I absolutely could see doing that because it will enhance all, because it kind of has all that in there. Some caramelization, like from pastry stuff, but not oxidation per se, like from being oxidative aging, because it hasn't done any. It's only been 2 months, 3 months since it was disgorged, I guess. There's a little bit of a bite to the fruit. It's got a little bit of a tartness to it, but it's still fresh. It's ripe. But yeah, now they said it was extra brut. Even though the tech sheet said, I think this is the one that said 10 grams per liter, and it needs to be under 6. Yeah, I kind of think that this could be like right at that borderline of 6. It's pretty dry, but it could also be pushing. And I don't know if in Argentina, extra brut has a classification. I didn't look that up. They have a lot of classifications of things that I didn't realize, or I didn't know at the time I was studying Argentine wine. But it's one of the only countries outside of Europe that reserve actually has a meaning, believe it or not. The rest of the New World, reserve has no meaning. But theirs has reserve, Gran Reserva, maybe Chile also too. But yeah, I don't know if brut, extra brut, and all that kind of stuff follows the European thing. But if they sell their wine in Europe, or they sell their wine, well, they sell their wine here, extra brut still should follow that thing. So maybe it's right at 6. I'm not great at guessing RS on sparkling wine, and I'm barely okay on still wine guessing RS. So, all right, let's do the Brazilian wine. So this is what Pinot and Chardonnay, right? Nice. Woo, bubbles. So I do get some caramelization. Now I don't know how old this is. I don't know how long this has been around, sitting on a shelf. Oh, it's 100% Pinot Noir. That's right. 12 months. Yeah, I don't see a date on here or a batch number or anything. So who knows? It's not oxidized, but I get a lot of watermelon, fresh watermelon on this. Red florals, a little cherry, almost like a cherry soda, the carbonation. Yeah. It's just very fruity, red fruited. Let's just taste it. Wow, the bubbles are intense on that. Like, just filled my mouth. It's delicious. I'm not saying this wasn't delicious. I think it's more of I didn't know what to expect from this, where I had high expectations for this and I met those expectations. This had zero expectations because I didn't know what to do, other than it supposedly is one of the best wineries in Brazil, or at least the region. It's delicious. It's got that cherry. It's got a raspberry. It's got a pomegranate thing going on too. It's got the watermelon isn't so prominent on the palate. It was more prominent on the nose. And it's just, the mousse, the bubbles are just so nice. They're so tight and luxurious is the best way to describe it. It's not quite champagne, okay? Like, I feel like champagne is super hard to replicate the whole thing, especially the mouthfeel of champagne. But this is pretty darn close. Like, I think if I didn't tell you it was Brazilian, I think a lot of people would just assume it's actual, like, rosé champagne, like from Champagne itself. I think a lot of people would think that. Now, would professionals necessarily think that, or people who are just, they're experts on champagne? Probably not. They probably would say, no, it's not champagne, but it's really well made. At least I hope they would think so. I think what separates it from champagne, like a non-vintage champagne, is even though it's got a lot of fruit characteristics to it, and it's got great mouthfeel, and it's got great acidity, it's got a lot of great things to it. It is, I don't want to say linear, but there's kind of like just, it's got one thing. Like, I don't get much else out of it. Now, non-vintage champagne or non-vintage sparkling doesn't have to have a ton of complexity. It's meant to be enjoyed now, right? It's meant to be the wine you drink between vintages, because back in the day, you didn't get a vintage every year. Now, in Champagne and lots of places, you get a vintage every year. Now, some champagne houses don't produce vintages every single year, but other ones, like big ones, they produce a vintage every year. And that stuff ages for 8 to 10 years still. Like, it's not like, okay, I have the, 2000, it was 36 months, or no, 60 months, 5 years is the minimum for vintage, I believe. So the 2020 champagne is coming out like in next month. No, like most champagne houses are like on 13, maybe 14. You might see 15 coming out soon here and there, or there might be some that are out, but you're not seeing 2020 come out from champagne. I mean, these guys age it for a lot longer. And some champagne houses release their stuff not in order. So you could have a 2018 come out before, say, a 2015. They might be like, 2018 is great now. We're going to hold on to 2015 for a while. Instead of like 15 and 16 and 17 and 18, they may go 18, 15, 17, 16. So, yeah. All right. Sparkling Shiraz. So, yes, all the things of Shiraz, right? Lots of red and black fruits going on here. Chocolate, cocoa, but super fresh. Almost Rooty Tooty fresh and fruity. I can't remember the last time I ever had that at IHOP, but that kind of came to mind. Yeah, I mean, it smells straight up like just some delicious, hopefully delicious tasting juice. Yeah, and it's really got this milk chocolate thing going on to it. All right, let's just try it, man. Let's just try it. I can see why a lot of people like this. It's not sweet, but it's very fruity, okay? And that 10 grams per liter RS, that is absolutely, like, that's the dosage, okay? But this wine was bone dry when it was made, okay? And then they add all this sugar for the fermentation, and there might be some extra sugar that just kind of hung around that didn't ferment. It's not a truly semi-sweet wine, but there's definitely a little bit of sugary sweetness to it. And that's okay. This is not like Sangue de Guida or Roscato sweetness level, okay? We're not talking like that. We're not talking Brachetto, these sweet, sparkling red or light red wines. This is still on the drier side for sure. But it's got all that great red and black fruit, that raspberry, that blackberry, blueberry, and like milk, like wrapped in milk chocolate. Like, even though it's like super sweet, you could have it with a semi-sweet dessert. You're not going to have it with a super sweet dessert, but you could have it with a dessert type of thing, like cookies or cakes. Then they aren't like heavily sugared. But yeah, I view this as a party wine. Absolutely, as a party wine. You got some people at the house and they want something that's a little different and fun and fruity. This is it, dude. You want somebody that has something a little more seriousness to it, but isn't like $50. This. You want something that's high quality and Malbec and super delicious as well, and some complexity. And this, especially if you can get it on sale. Yeah, I mean, Southern Hemisphere rocking it. Southern Hemisphere bringing it. All right, so that's gonna do it. All right. If you enjoy what I'm doing here, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and tell your friends. And we'll see you next time. What do I want to toast with? Let's toast with the Mollydooker with the left hand.